It's 1995. Four young adults, Joey, Matt, Lisa, and Kate, arrive in the Ura Valley of Bhutan for a trekking trip. Nestled amidst the massive Himalayan mountain range, this valley is surrounded by ancient and terrifying myths in Tibetan Buddhism. While taking in the mountain scenery, Matt suddenly hears a strange whistling sound. But the weird part is, none of his friends can hear it. As Matt searches for the source of the sound, he suddenly slips and falls into a deep mountain cave. To save him, Joey immediately climbs down using a rope. Inside the cave, Joey finds Matt sitting completely frozen on the ground, and right across from him, carved into the stone, is a massive demonic skeleton with 8 arms. The skeleton didn't look like it was man-made at all. But how is an 8-armed skeleton even possible in this world? When Joey goes to check on Matt, Matt whispers a warning. Don't touch me. If you touch me, you're all gonna die." Hearing this, Joey assumes Matt must have hit his head during the fall, so he forcefully pulls Matt up. The moment Joey touches him, Matt bursts into tears, acting like he's just committed some massive, unforgivable mistake. Completely confused, Joey carries Matt on his shoulders and makes his way out of the cave. After walking for a bit, they stumble upon an abandoned cabin. By then, the sky is filled with dark clouds, warning of a severe blizzard. So they decide to spend the night in the cabin. Joey checks Matt's entire body, but surprisingly, there isn't a single scratch on him, except for old suicide scars on his wrists. With no physical injuries at all, everyone is left wondering why Matt is acting so mentally unstable and passing out. That night, the blizzard hits. Lisa starts examining a strange bone she found in Matt's pocket. She discovers that it's actually an ancient bone flute, which makes an eerie sound when you blow into it. After that, Lisa falls asleep, but in the middle of the night, she suddenly wakes up. She hears heavy footsteps crunching through the snow right outside the cabin. At first, she thinks it might be Joey or Kate, but when she looks over, she sees both of them are fast asleep. The next morning, the brutal snowstorm is still raging outside. With no other options, Joey and Kate head out toward the nearest village to get help. Meanwhile, Lisa stays back at the cabin to watch over an unconscious Matt. Shortly after Joey and Kate leave, Lisa looks out the window and spots a blurry, dark silhouette slowly making its way toward the cabin through the blizzard. At first, Lisa thinks maybe someone has come to rescue them, but as the figure gets closer, she realizes an absolutely terrifying, evil energy is radiating from this guy. Terrified, Lisa quickly locks the door. Suddenly, someone starts frantically banging on it. Out of fear, Lisa grabs a knife. But a few moments later, she realizes it's just Joey and Kate shouting from outside. The blizzard was too intense, so they had to turn back halfway. When Lisa tells them about the dark, shadowy figure, they go out to check, but there's no one there. They just assume Lisa is hallucinating from being so isolated. That night, as Lisa is sleeping, she suddenly hears whispering right next to her ear. She opens her eyes to find Matt leaning in close, chanting some bizarre incantation. But Lisa is so exhausted that she doesn't even process it and falls right back asleep. On the morning of the 3rd day, Lisa wakes up to find Matt missing from the cabin. Outside, there are crooked footprints left by him in the snow. Following the trail, Joey, Kate, and Lisa reach the suspension bridge. There, they see Matt sitting on the ground playing that bone flute. When they start questioning him, Matt replies in a deeply sorrowful voice, saying it again, "Don't touch me. If you touch me, you will die." Hearing this, Joey and Kate are completely stunned. Then, Matt locks eyes with Lisa. Suddenly, as if possessed by some invisible force, Lisa starts acting like a zombie. She silently pulls a knife from her pocket, viciously stabs Joey in the back, and shoves him right off the cliff. Before Kate can even process what's happening, Lisa slits Kate's throat too, and finally throws herself off the mountain, committing suicide. The whole thing happens in the blink of an eye, and all the while, Matt just keeps playing that eerie tune on the bone flute. The story then cuts to 2018. Our main character, Jim, runs a lock shop in a small town. One day, when Jim returns home from work, his neighbor, a girl named Amanda, is waiting for him. Through their conversation, we find out that a year ago, Jim's wife and child died in a tragic car accident, and Amanda's dad passed away at the exact same time. Amanda tells Jim that she's found something that helps her forget all the pain. She says, "None of this is real. Nothing can ever hurt me again." Jim has no idea what she's talking about, but he's just glad the kid is finally finding a way out of her grief. That very night, Jim has a nightmare about his dead wife, his son, flashes of the car crash, and an empty chair sitting right in the middle of his room. He wakes up with a jolt, his heart pounding. The next morning, Jim gets a call from Amanda's mom, Nora. Crying hysterically, she tells him that Amanda is missing. Since Jim used to be a cop, Nora begs him to help. Jim heads over to Amanda's room and starts investigating. He notices a completely black poster hanging on her wall, and down in the bottom right corner, there's a drawing of some strange entity emitting signals or waves in all directions. Then, Jim goes into the bathroom and sees words written in blood on the mirror. "The empty man made me do it." Realizing how messed up the situation is, Jim immediately calls his old police buddies. But after testing the blood, the cops tell him that it's not even human blood. Plus, some of Amanda's clothes and a suitcase are gone. The police assume Amanda probably just ran away from home, and since it hasn't been 24 hours yet, they refuse to take the missing persons case. Next, Jim goes through Amanda's diary and finds a small card that says Pontifex Institute with the word tulpa written on the back. Jim's first stop is Amanda's high school, where he talks to her friend, Devara. At first, Devara doesn't want to say anything, but the moment Jim mentions the empty man, her face turns pale with fear. She explains that there's an urban legend among their friend group. The story goes that if you go to a specific bridge in town at midnight, blow into an empty bottle, and call out to the empty man in your mind, you can actually summon him. On the first day, you hear his footsteps. On the second day, you see him. And on the third day, he takes you with him. Devara says she thought it was just a stupid ghost story at first, but 2 nights ago, Amanda and the rest of their friends went to the bridge and blew into the bottle just for fun. The second they blew into it, a terrifying gust of wind started blowing from the other end of the bridge, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. Terrified, they all ran away. Jim then visits the houses of every friend who was there that night, one by one. But shockingly, every single one of them is missing, and in every house, he finds that exact same black poster and the Pontifex Institute card. Behind one of the houses, Jim even finds a dead dog that had been completely drained of its blood. Jim pieces it together. The blood in Amanda's bathroom belonged to this dog. After that, Jim goes straight to the bridge and finds an empty bottle. It's the middle of the day, so Jim decides to test if the legend actually works in broad daylight. He blows into the bottle. The very next second, a bizarre whistling sound creeps up from behind him. Jim follows the sound, which leads him to an open manhole, and he climbs down inside. The moment he hits the bottom, he is met with a horrific sight. Except for Amanda and Devara, all the other missing kids are found hanging by their necks, and right next to their bodies, a message is written: "The empty man made us do it." The police arrive, investigate the scene, and declare it a mass suicide. Meanwhile, Devara is taking a sauna in a bathroom. Through the thick, hot steam, a dark shadow suddenly materializes. Without a word, the shadow grabs Devara and starts frantically stabbing her in the face with a pair of scissors. Devara dies right there on the spot. But the most chilling part of the movie is that the scene actually shows Devara stabbing herself in the face with those scissors. And right before she dies, she writes in her own blood, "The empty man made me do it." Jim heads back home and looks up Pontifex Institute on the internet. He learns that it's essentially a cult, a group of religious fanatics who believe in doomsday. He also discovers that back in 1991, a few members of this cult tried to summon an entity called a tulpa in a cabin out in the Missouri woods. A tulpa is a spiritual energy that manifests into reality from the collective thoughts of people, acting as a bridge between the physical and mental worlds. But the summoning ritual failed, leading to the suicide of 6 members. All this information just leaves Jim even more confused. Right then, Amanda's mom, Nora, shows up at Jim's house, sobbing over her daughter. Nora wants to stay the night, but Jim turns her down. From their conversation, it becomes pretty clear that they used to have an extramarital affair. When Jim goes to sleep that night, he has that exact same nightmare. His dead wife, his son, the car crash, and that chair in the middle of the room. But this time, there's an extra detail. Jim sees a man with his face covered by a black veil. Jim wakes up terrified. He notices someone walking right past his bedroom door. He steps outside to check, but the hallway is completely empty. The following day, Jim tracks down the address for the Pontifex Institute online and shows up at their headquarters. A girl at the reception hands him a membership form. As Jim reads the text on the form, he gets totally creeped out. It reads, "Life is a disease, infection is a blessing from the ancient gods, and suicide is taking control of your own mind." Walking further inside, Jim sees the cult's main leader giving a speech. He's preaching, "Humanity was once whole, and we will be one again." The empty man wants to show us the true reality of this world. Jim approaches the leader and asks about the empty man. The leader tells him, the empty man isn't actually a person. It's the manifestation of humanity's collective thoughts. The human mind creates a circle of energy that binds everyone together. Through a specific method of intense focus, it's possible to bring this energy into reality. Jim sneaks around the building to see what else he can find. Sneaking past the library and the dormitories, he spots a room where several people are deep in meditation, staring blankly at that same black poster. Going even deeper, Jim ends up in a place that looks like an old factory. There, he finds a massive crowd sitting in a circle, all blowing into empty bottles to create that bizarre whistling sound. Jim gets caught and is immediately kicked out of the building. Once he's outside, a guy named Garrett walks up to Jim and tells him that Amanda is on a special mission for the cult. He tells Jim to go to a cabin in the woods near Highway 32. Jim drives out to the cabin in the woods. Inside, he finds files on both Amanda and Devara. Among them, a red file catches his eye because it has his own name written right on it. But the crazy part is, the file is completely empty. After that, Jim checks out the cabin next door. This is the exact same cabin where the cult members committed suicide back in 1991. Inside, there are multiple beds, a teddy bear lying on the floor, and a bunch of old VHS tapes scattered around. Jim pops one of the tapes into a player and watches as the cult members meditate together, literally creating a bald man out of thin air. In the video, the man starts drawing the symbol from the black poster on the wall. Jim flashes his flashlight and realizes that exact same symbol is drawn right there on the cabin wall. That means the bald guy was kept prisoner right in this room. Jim turns around, only to realize the teddy bear that was just on the floor is now completely gone. Jim frantically rushes out of the cabin. It's pitch black outside now. A little further away, he spots the glow of a fire. As he creeps closer, he sees the cult members dancing like maniacs and chanting around a massive bonfire. The flames are shooting straight up into the sky like a giant pillar, and the stars above are spinning in an unnatural, terrifying way. Jim realizes some massive evil force is at play. Suddenly, the cult members spot him and start rushing towards him like a horde of zombies. Jim barely makes it to his car and speeds off to save his life. He drives straight to the police station and shows all the evidence he gathered to a black police officer. But instead of helping him, the cop yells at Jim, accusing him of trespassing on private property. Jim instantly connects the dots. This cop is part of the cult. Jim goes back home and pulls out his gun. That night, the nightmare returns, but this time, along with the car crash involving his wife and kid, he sees flashes of himself being intimate with Nora. Seeing this, Jim wakes up in a cold sweat, his heart racing. To take the edge off, Jim goes to light a cigarette, but suddenly he spots a dark, shadowy figure sitting right by the door. Before Jim can even process what's happening, the figure lunges straight at him. Jim frantically flips on the room light, and instantly the figure vanishes. Right at that moment, the doorbell rings. Jim opens the door and freezes. The missing teddy bear from the cabin in the woods is sitting right there on his welcome mat. Jim realizes the cult has completely zeroed in on Jim. Day 3. Jim completely stops taking his antidepressants, thinking the pills might be the reason he's hallucinating. He heads straight to the cult's headquarters and starts staking out the building. A little while later, he spots Garrett, the guy with the middle-parted hair, getting into a car with a few other people. He tails them all the way to a hospital. Hiding out of sight, He watches as Garrett and his crew kneel down and pray at the bedside of an old comatose patient, acting like this old man is their actual god. The second Garrett steps outside, Jim ambushes him from behind, presses a gun to his head, and demands the truth. Garrett just laughs and says, "That old man lying in that bed is our god. He's like a signal tower, continuously transmitting a frequency, and we, the followers, are the radio antennas receiving it." Jim thinks it's a bunch of crazy nonsense. He just wants to know where Amanda is. Garrett replies, "The Amanda is on the bridge right now, the bridge between consciousness and reality." Furious, Jim brutally beats Garrett down. Later that night, Jim breaks into the cult's building again. Surprisingly, the doors are wide open and the place is completely empty. He heads straight for the archive room and digs up the file on that old man. But suddenly, he notices a red file sitting there with his own name on it. Unlike the empty file he found at the cabin in the woods yesterday, this one is packed with detailed records of experiments conducted on him, along with every single detail about his dead wife and kid. Completely creeped out, he grabs the files and rushes straight back to the hospital. When he asks the receptionist about the old man, the nurse refuses to say anything, only mentioning that it's a strict order from the higher-ups. With no other option, Jim barges right into the old man's room, and right there, he finally finds Amanda. Amanda is gently and carefully tending to the old man. Stunned, Jim demands to know who this old man really is, but Amanda repeats the exact same thing Garrett said. He is a signal station, and the entire human race is his receiver. Ignoring all this crazy talk, Jim quickly dials Amanda's mom, Nora, to tell her that he found her daughter and she's safe at the hospital. But on the other end of the line, Nora talks to him like she doesn't even know who he is. Sounding completely confused, Nora says, "My daughter never went missing." Hearing this, the ground completely drops out from under Jim. His mind is spinning. Then Amanda looks dead at Jim and drops the most horrifying truth. She reveals that the old man lying in that bed is none other than Matt, the guy from 1995 at the very beginning of the movie. After falling into that cave, the spirit of the 8-armed skeleton, an evil deity known as Narlathot, possessed Matt's body. But after all these years, Matt's body has grown old and weak, and now this demonic god needs a brand new, perfect vessel to remain in our world. And that is exactly why the cult members used their dark rituals to literally create Jim. That's right, Jim isn't a normal human being made of flesh and blood. Jim is a tulpa, a physical manifestation born purely out of the collective thoughts and consciousness of the cult members. They willed him into existence just a few days ago. He has no real past. The cult literally implanted fake memories straight into his brain. They purposely gave him a dark, depressing, and tragic backstory, one where his wife and child died in a car crash on the exact same night he was having an affair with Nora, leaving him to drown in absolute guilt. Why? Because the cult's experiments proved that a person consumed by depression and hopelessness makes for the perfect, easiest vessel for an evil entity to take over. His entire life, everything he thought he knew, was nothing but a fabricated lie. Hearing this mind-shattering truth, Jim has a complete mental breakdown. Suddenly, in the blink of an eye, the entire room shifts around him. Jim finds himself standing right in the middle of the cult's massive hall, where all the followers are sitting in a circle, blowing into those empty bottles, as if Jim had literally just stepped right out of a door in the middle of their collective consciousness. Then the scene violently shifts again. This time, Jim finds himself deep inside that snow-covered cave from 1995. Before he can even react, that massive demonic black entity bursts right out of the cave wall. Jim tries to run, but the monster grabs him and forces him to swallow some terrifying, thick black liquid. After that, the creature's massive tendrils and eventually its entire body phase right into Jim, violently fusing with him. In the very next scene, Jim stands back up. There isn't a single scratch on his body. He rushes straight back to his house like a madman. He desperately tries to convince himself that everything that just happened was nothing more than a crazy hallucination. But as he steps inside, he realizes the entire house is covered in thick layers of dust. It looks like nobody has ever lived there.
Jim finally accepts the devastating truth. His mind, his memories, his wife, his kid, none of it was real. Slowly, he gives in to this dark reality. Suddenly, he opens a door and instantly finds himself right back inside that hospital room. The evil deity has now taken complete and total control of Jim's body. Jim looks down at Matt lying in the bed, whose broken body is absolutely useless to the entity now. With a completely dead expression, Jim slowly pulls out his gun and unloads multiple shots right into Matt's head, killing him instantly. Then, as Jim steps out of the room and walks into the hospital corridor, an absolutely chilling scene unfolds. Every single nurse, doctor, and patient in the hospital dropped to their knees and bowed their heads right in front of him, because their twisted god has finally walked the earth in a brand new vessel, and the doomsday, the absolute destruction of humanity, is about to begin. And with that dark ending, the story comes to a close. Guys, this psychological horror masterpiece is called The Empty Man, released in 2020.